Hello, and welcome to Timing is Everything. My name is Mary Crowe, Director of Professional and Community Education at Care Dimensions. We have a very special episode for you today. Today is the year in review of 2022. Just when you thought it was over, here we are, and we just want to really kind of focus on and do some little snippets and also discussion around some of the shows we had in 2022 and why we chose those topics and why they were important. So I'm thrilled today because I have a longtime colleague of mine, James Feldman, who I'm going to let introduce himself to you.
Thank you. It's Jim. We're good enough friends to go by Jim. But thanks, Mary. It's great being here. I'm really excited to share this program with you to do a recap of last year, 2022, and all the exciting things you did with the program. I've been with Care Dimensions for, as you know, because we've been together for a while, for over 13 years. And in my role as Provider Relations Coordinator, I am a liaison with the community, helping to provide resources and support to our referral sources. And also what's exciting today is I've been a part of this show since the beginning. Yeah. However, on the other side of the camera, I'm the technical director, and I'm always in the booth. Yep. But to be on this side and be here actually talking to you is a thrill, and I'm honored. So
thank you so much. Yeah, we're happy to have you outside of the booth and in front of the camera.
They let me out.
Just for this episode,
okay,
Jim.
right.
No, we were thrilled to have you outside. So let's go back and talk about some of the episodes. And you know, in March, we actually did an episode on, it was National Social Worker Month, which, of course, I have a special place, right? Because I've been a medical social worker now for, I won't tell you how many years. So, you know, this was a nice thing. And we actually had Kelly Ann Sullivan on, who's one of our fabulous social workers. Great. And, you know, one of the things that I love about this show, because we really wanted to highlight, you know, what does a social worker do in hospice care, right? But the other piece to this was, this is a piece I love about hospice so much, because we really take care of the whole person. And it's not just addressing the physical, but the emotional and the spiritual as well. And that is so important. So I love to highlight some of the other disciplines so that we can really understand what is their role in this and in the person's care and with the family.
Very true. The social worker, who plays a very important role, is one of the members of the interdisciplinary team. It also includes our nurse case manager, a chaplain, the hospice aides, which go in and help our patients and families taking care of the patients. We have volunteers that go in and help and spend time. We have we do complementary therapy, so we have therapists that go in. You know, so there's a whole team of people that all work together and support each other. Like you said, it's not just physical, it's physical, spiritual, emotional. And, you know, in my role, I love seeing, because I spend a lot of time working with the teams, and I see how they work together. And they not only support the family and the patients, they support each other.
Right. Yes.
So it's really great.
It is so nice, you know, in this field, you know, having done that, when I early on in social work, they call them multidisciplinary teams, right? And then they actually shift that and call them interdisciplinary teams, because it's kind of like, you know, your role's here, mine starts here, and there's a gap. People were falling between the gap. And what I love is just what you said. We overlap, we interlock, we all work together for the betterment of that individual and the family. And that's what it's all about. And Kelly Ann Sullivan did just a fabulous job highlighting again the importance of the social work role. And she certainly went in too about the other roles that were so important.
And you know, just the point I want to bring up too is families and patients can make a decision of just who they want involved in their care. It doesn't have to be the whole interdisciplinary team. I mean, we are required that the nurse must be involved in the care and must be visiting with the patient. But some families have their own spiritual connections or they don't feel they need a social worker. But at any time through the process, they can add or accept the services from others on the team if they didn't at the beginning.
Absolutely. It's a great point. And oftentimes they do kind of welcome at some point, which is nice, because they see that really having all of their needs tended to just, it makes this time so much more, you know, quality filled and all of that.
One of the things I love the most about Care Dimensions, and I think this is in all hospice, really, all hospice programs, but is the interdisciplinary team. So, we treat people physically. Obviously, the first thing we ask when we go in is how somebody's feeling physically. We want to make sure people are comfortable and pain-free. And then I'm asking about how's your spirit? How are you feeling? How, emotionally, and talk through kinds of, the mental part of it,
Right.
and then of course our chaplains are dealing with the spiritual side of it, which is a really important side of it. I feel like we have, I don't know if you've had Sharon Dunbar-Link on here, but she's one of our longtime chaplains, and she always says something like, we're having a spiritual experience in a physical body,
Yeah.
and so, we work as a team, and we kind of deal with all of those things. It's just a wonderful program, as far as the team working together, and we have the aid, and then of course we have the music therapists, and the volunteers that are so wonderful too. And we all come together and we treat people holistically in that way.
All right. So then what we did was in April, of course, because April is National Healthcare Decision Day, April 16th is, and also it's so important that April is National Healthcare Decision Month. This is a topic that is so important, Jim, and that everybody, this is something that we talk about year round, but there's a lot of emphasis on it in April, but this is something that just really has to happen year round. It's talking about healthcare proxies and all. We actually did this show with attorney Arthur Skamis, who is an elder law estate planning attorney, very well versed in this, and we do this show regularly each year because it's so important, such an important topic. Everybody 18 and over should have a healthcare proxy. And again, still about 25–30% of the population have one in place. That's concerning, as in here we are going through in a pandemic, right? Absolutely. So such an important topic.
It is. And it's not just, it's so important to have the healthcare proxy in place, but you also need to have that conversation with them. They need to know what your wishes are. And it needs to be an ongoing conversation because the wishes can change over time.
Absolutely. So this is, again, I love this topic, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to do it regularly. We get asked to do this a lot, even throughout the year. It is. And we're going to keep on this because it is so important for people.
The primary purpose of a healthcare proxy is to have somebody appointed to make your healthcare decisions when you are not able to make them. Whether that be a temporary situation, as is often the case with an accident or an acute illness from which you will get better, or it can be permanent for the Alzheimer's patient. They get to the point where it's going to be permanently invoked.
Right.
The point of it is, though, that when you are not able to make your own decisions, then you have provided the legal authority for somebody to act for you. But more importantly, it also allows that person to get all of the information as to what's going on with you, because we have very strong privacy laws, HIPAA, and doctors, medical personnel are not allowed to just give information to family members just because they're family members.
Right.
And so you can be left in the dark. You cannot find out what's going on.
So another program that we did was about the Threshold Singers. Wasn't this? I just loved this show. And Alice Matteo and the Threshold Singers came on, and this group, it's a group of volunteers who come and they sing at bedside of seriously ill or people who are at end of life. And what she talks about is that really what their goal is, it's not to entertain. This is all around to comfort, is to provide compassion and really kindness.
True. And it's not just for, it is also a benefit to the families. I think they mentioned in that clip as well that, because it's soothing the patient, it's kind of making them calmer, lowering their breathing, making that smoother. And I think, if a family, that's going to make the family more at ease and relaxed when they see their loved one calmer and feeling comforted. But it's also, it makes me think too about our complementary therapies and our music therapy.
Yes.
Above and beyond the Threshold Singers.
Yes.
And that's something that we offer, as you know, as part of our complementary therapy program. And that, our patients on service will have that provided to them anywhere along in their progression of their disease and being on service with us. And they can engage as little or as much as they want. And especially with our dementia patients, it's great, you know, because music is something can really help them connect.
Exactly, and it is. It's a way of engaging, way of connecting, and I see that with both, like you say, the individual and the family, and how it also stirs memories, which we so desperately need when we have a loved one with Alzheimer's or related dementia. Yeah, it was a really moving show, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It really was.
So, what are some of the benefits of music at bedside for somebody who is critically ill or at end of life?
Okay. What we see as the benefit is the soothing quality. What happens when we sing, and we sing very, very gentle songs. We're not entertainers. It's a very different kind of thing that we do at the bedside. So we sing soft and gentle songs, and what we notice is that this makes the breathing become more soft. That sometimes there's an unclenching. That when there's so much tension, we also find that when we sing, not only does the patient benefit from it, but the family does as well. It's kind of like it gives the family a respite.
Yes.
And we also find that the family often will sometimes sing with us, sometimes hum with us, but it draws them to the patient. They will hold the hand or stroke the hair or whatever. So it's a very moving thing to do.
So another show that we got to do, and we literally got to take the show on the road for this one, right? So we actually got to go to Diamond Brook Farm in Boxford. Renee Cooper, who is one of the owners of the farm, invited us to be a part of that, and we were so grateful for. And it's an amazing place. People should actually go and get to see. But we actually got to interview Laurie Lowe, who's the originator of and Minis with a Mission. And this is an all-volunteer organization, and they're mini horses and also donkeys. And really, she taught us about the equine and human relationship. This was like so cool, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
It was really amazing. And Laurie actually brought her Minis with a Mission to the Kaplan Family Hospice House. And the patients there were able to engage with the minis, with the mini horses. This was powerful.
It was, and it, you know, again, a part of pet therapy is so engaging for patients and can mean so much to them. I remember, you know, we had pet therapy, including our dogs as well. That you know, and I remember hearing a story one time of when one of our first pets, he was a beautiful golden retriever, and went to visit some patients on service with us at an assisted living. And one of the residents there, who for quite some time had been fairly non-communicating or reactionary, and the staff said that the reaction and just the mood change on that resident, that patient, when our dog was there and they could see the dog and pat the dog, was just something they hadn't seen in years. And it just drew it out of that person.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I know the story that you're speaking of, Jim. And again, this was Patrick, our first pet therapy dog, who was, again, a star. So it was just amazing to hear this and the impact that he had on that resident and also others.
I was fortunate enough to be able to take him around some of the times to some of the nursing homes that I work with. And it was really, really amazing when he would get by the bed and the reaction these folks who were bedbound, and just to try and get to him. And
That's
great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So Minis with a Mission, as I mentioned, is a all-volunteer nonprofit organization, and our mission is to provide the opportunity for everyone to have an opportunity to experience a human-equine connection, their healing, and the joy that they bring. And so we have our donkeys, Bucko and Flossie and Pearl over there. We have some mini horses here. We have Ginny, and we also have 3 other horses at another farm. They're mini horses called the Romeo, Fluffernutter, and Pixie that are there. So what we do is we look for opportunities to just have outreach in the community. And that could be things like assisted living homes, hospice care, libraries, anywhere where there might be an opportunity to spread joy, which we all know we need right now.
Another show that we got to do was around our volunteers. And this was a great interview as well, where we got a chance to actually interview Cheryl Meehan, but also one of our, who oversaw the volunteers, but one of our really wonderful volunteers, Paul Williams, who we got to talk to. And that was really neat. The volunteers are such a critical part of the hospice team.
They sure are, you know, and we really try to match up the right volunteer with the right patient. We have veteran volunteers, as you know, because you know, there's a lot of emotions that veterans have that they could relate to, and they appreciate having somebody with them and sit and talk who's a veteran. I remember an instance we had a husband and wife team once, and at one of my facilities, we had a husband who was in the facility, but his wife would visit all the time, and this team would go there. And while the husband would go visit with the gentleman patient, the wife volunteer would go spend time with the patient's wife separately.
Wow, wasn't that nice?
So we really try and match them up. And they go through quite an extensive training program.
Yeah, there is an extensive training, and they do such a variety of things. You know, I think sometimes people don't understand the roles of the volunteers here, but they do a number of different things that can range from them doing some like clerical type of work to greeting people at the doors of the hospice houses, to sitting at bedside and sitting vigil when somebody is actually dying. So very important role.
Very important people.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'd start out by saying I've done a lot of things that I didn't think I could do, or I didn't think I had in me. Like the first vigil I ever did. Walking down that hall, it seemed like it was about 1,000 miles long. But I'd been with this guy as a volunteer for quite a while. He's there in bed, he's getting close to the end of his life, and I reached out and held his hand, and I didn't think I could do that. You know, Tony was a bricklayer, and he was big, rough hands, and I reached over and held his hand, and I swear it felt so good to me. I hope it felt as good to him. But it was, talk about something I didn't think I could do.
Sure. Jim, another show we got to do was with our special events manager, Amy Rain, and it was on the Walk for Hospice.
Right.
And that was our 35th Walk for Hospice. Wow. And it was so wonderful to get to talk to her. She's so enthusiastic about it, and the walks are so special. Just so special. They do such a number of things, don't they?
They do.
You know, just you know, people being able to come together and to memorialize their loved one, and the enthusiasm. It's just, it's contagious, isn't it?
It is. It promotes well-being, and just what they do, like you said, it makes a difference in people's lives when they participate in it, and you know, it's just so important to the organization as well, because all the funds that are raised, you know, go back into patient care and our services and our programs. You know, we're a not-for-profit, so it's important. And, you know, there's just so many ways that people can donate. They don't necessarily have to walk, and they can help raise funds or participate in the events leading up to it where money is raised. That will all go towards it.
And it's so nice for people to come together to know that they're not alone. You know, grief can be so isolating.
Sure.
But when people come together and we share in one's grief, you know, it can really help to lessen that. And to just see, again, the celebration around these individuals' lives and all the people that they've touched. It's just a very powerful experience.
You see the big teams, and it's just all together. It's great.
It really is.
For my first walk, I'll never forget arriving at the campus at like 6 a.m. It's like pitch dark, and thinking, you know, what is this going to be like? And all of a sudden, all these people come out to help create the walk village. And then I'm like, are people going to come? And then slowly but surely, you just see all these teams come. And it really is powerful, and it is magical. And a lot of people tell me that once they come that first time, that it's just so amazing that they come back year after year, because there is something about just being together with people and sharing and looking around and realizing you're not alone, because grief and losing someone is such a lonely experience, and it really does help to know that you're supported by a whole community of people.
All right, so another show that we had the good fortune of being able to doing is actually interviewing Dr. Stephanie Patel, who is our CEO. And we did this show during November, which is National Hospice and Palliative Care Month. Very important month to recognize hospice care, and also, you know, I really like getting the word out about this, because even so there's education around this, there's still so many myths and misconceptions around this. So we got to talk to Stephanie about a lot of those. Couldn't even possibly touch on in that half hour, right? All of the myths and misconceptions. But, you know.
Yeah, it was a good program to, you know, help dispel some of those myths and misconceptions. You know, people, you know, think it's, you know, people are going to die within 6 months, and we've got so many folks that, you know, so long as they continue to meet criteria or on for a lot longer than that. I know when I first joined the organization, before I did, I thought to be on hospice, you have to have cancer and you will be dying within 6 months. And that's, a lot of people think that, and cancer is not, I mean, it is our top diagnoses of folks on service with us, but there's many other diagnoses that people don't realize would qualify folks for hospice care, and where we provide those services. Stephanie talks about the different locations. It's not just a place. It can be at one of our hospice houses, it can be at somebody's home, it can be in a nursing home, it can be in assisted living, and that can change as the disease progresses, of where, based on somebody's needs and what their care requirements are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's anywhere, right? Anywhere that person calls home. And I like that you talked about the time frame too, because a lot of times I think people really think too that it's like days or weeks to live. So, and people come on so late.
Right.
And what I have heard over all my years is that people wish they had come on sooner. Over and over again, time and time again, I've heard the same words coming out of people's mouths, that they wish they had come on sooner. Once they had seen all the services and the support that people were able to receive, not just for the individual, but also for the family, that was so important.
I think the important thing is how you experience it and how your family experiences, and that's where hospice can really play an important role.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's the other piece too. You had mentioned about, you know, how things have changed, about people wanting to hopefully be in the place that they choose, and home and all. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that too, in terms of the types of setting that people can receive hospice care in.
So people can receive hospice care in wherever they call home. So that could be your traditional home, that could be a nursing facility, a group home, an assisted living, you know, a friend's home. So pretty much wherever you call home, we come to.
Yeah. The last show too that we ended up doing was with Bob Hagopian. And Bob Hagopian is just one of the most amazing people you'd ever meet, right? So he is a chaplain. But he worked for us as a chaplain, but then he transitioned, still working for us as a bereavement specialist. And you know, this show with Bob, we talked about coping with the holidays, and he's a crowd favorite. I'm not going to lie to you; he is just an amazing human being. It's just beautiful to get to talk to him. You know, in this coping with the holidays, again, it's another show that we're going to do every year. We will never miss this, because this is so important. The holidays are such a tricky time for people in general. When people are grieving the loss of a loved one, it makes it so much more complicated.
Yeah, like you say, and again, it's another one of your most popular programs that you do out there. Get a lot of requests for it, and it's so important. And I think, like Bob talked about, that and it's not just the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays or Hanukkah holidays or whatever it is at that time of year. There's any time during the year something could trigger something to somebody, and evoke their emotions that maybe they weren't experiencing earlier. And so, you know, and that's part of the hospice benefit, where you get 13 months of bereavement support minimum. You can go longer than that, so that it gets you through a full year of all those different things: birthdays, anniversaries, holidays. But yeah, many things can trigger it.
Yeah, and what I love about the show too is that it talks about coping strategies. Ways. What are some of the strategies that we can utilize to get through that time, right? How can we use that? Because the holidays can heal as much as they can hurt. So how can we help with that coping strategy too, to make those work for everyone?
He gave a lot of great tips on how to get through it, and new traditions you can start, or ways to memorialize that person at the holiday.
Absolutely.
So it was a good program for sure.
so what I find is that people feel like there's a certain way, that there's a right or wrong, and I want to talk about that a little bit, because there certainly is no right or wrong.
You're absolutely right, Mary, and that's something that's eternal. It's not just around the holiday time. It's at any time during the course of life. Grief does not have a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
That's the bad news.
Yeah.
The good news is there will always be people willing to listen and willing to help you process your grief as you move forward. I always tell my families, I don't like the term moving on.
Right.
Because moving on, to me, it implies that you're leaving the person behind. You're not going to think about them. We move forward.
Right.
You know, it's like we don't get over our losses, but we do get through them.
That's right. Now, I just want to remind people that these are snippets, right, that we're showing you today of our 30-minute programs that happened, you know, in 2022. You can watch the full 30-minute programs for any of these programs, and you can go on the DCAT website at danverstv.org. You can go on the Care Dimensions website at caredimensions.org. You can also bring these up on YouTube. Well, Jim, it has been such a pleasure to have you on the program today. You are now coming out from behind.
Oh, I thought you were going to say now get back in the box.
No, I'm not throwing you back in.
Okay.
We'll have you out of the booth more often. And thank you so much for joining and for really reminiscing and bringing up some of the past of these shows that were so special to us, I know. And I want to thank the audience for tuning in to Timing is Everything, and look forward to 2023 and bringing you some new programming. My name is Mary Crowe, Director of Professional and Community Education.
Thanks.
More than ever, it's your sanctuary. But if you're caring for a loved one with advanced illness, it can feel isolating and worrisome. Care Dimensions can help. As Massachusetts' leading hospice provider, you can count on us for guidance, medical care, and support. We follow all COVID-19 safety precautions to protect you and your family, so you don't have to delay getting the care you need. Visit Care Dimensions online or give us a call.